So let's start looking at the splining process. So this is where we left off. So we've got the weight in there, we've got the right technical poses. It's just a little jerky right now. So I'm going to methodically work through the entire rig, smoothing this out. So I'm going to start at the hips, and work down, and then work my way up, basically. So hips and legs first of all. So where we're going to do this is within, if we go to Windows, Animation Editors, and we're going to go into the Graph Editor. This is where having two monitors is really handy, but it won't let me screen capture over two monitors. Let me just bring this down on my other monitor and bring this down. I can set up a viewport with two panels, and in fact I may do that. So let me just set a two panel layout. I'm going to set this panels to my perspective, and what I can do is I can, let's see if this docks in here. If not, then what we can do is go to panels, go to, where are we? Panel, and panel, and it was right in front of me, Graph Editor. And then I can just take these in. I'm going to get rid of my outliner over here. So let's click on this. You may not have yours over there anyway. I'm trying to get as much space as I possibly can. So I can also take down my channel box now. So we've got as much room in there as we possibly can get. So let's go into the hips. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can look at it as a whole. I wouldn't recommend it, especially when you're starting out. Instead, what we can do is start limiting what we're looking at in terms of our editor. So we're trying to create really smooth lines with this, and I can see an issue with this straight away. Actually, two things. We're trying to create really smooth lines. With this being a walk cycle as well, I want to make sure this is looping correctly as we go through. So let's set up the looping first. So what I can do is select these keys. What we want to do is this pre-infinity and post-infinity. So if we go to curves, pre-infinity cycle, keys, curves, sorry, post-infinity cycle. If you don't see this cycle happening, then we just need to go to view and just make sure this infinity is clicked on. So yours may look like this, even though you've got these curves switched on for pre-infinity and post-infinity. We're going to go in to view and click on infinity, and that's going to show us our loop line as well, so we can see that everything's looping nicely. At the moment that isn't the case. So what we need to do with this is have this, essentially this curve here. If I look at each of my handles, the extremes of my handles I want to be square, so these are absolutely fine. These aren't the extremes. This is going through to another curve here, so this is between 2 points. I need this line to be kind of flowing along the curve, to have that a really smooth motion on that. So this has got a bit of a jerk on it as it's coming down. It's sort of slowing down, then slowing down again, then going faster again, which we don't want. We want this smooth motion as we go through. And this is the same with our loop point as well. We want that same kind of thing. There's another way that we can get this actually. If we go to, so there's a couple of options on this. So we can go to spline tangent, is going to get you part way there. A clamp tangent won't work, but there is also this, let me have a look, it's auto Bezier, which is this one here. Oops. So look through our options. This has actually changed a little bit in this version of Maya. So let's just go through and have a look. It just used to be an auto Bezier. Let's have a look at these. Okay, so none of them want to work. No, it's not. A plateau tangent, by the way, is this, so it's flat. So I'm going to do this manually. All I'm doing is grabbing the Bezier handle and just dragging this up. And I must have split these out, so I'm going to do this auto tangent again. Let me go through. I must have broken the tangent somehow. See if I can reconnect these. Unify tangents. Still broken. Let me have a look at this one. Yeah, that one's fine. Oh, he seems to have done it now. Just seems to have caught up. So I'm just moving these so that the handle point is flowing along the curve. And I want this at the loop point as well. So this is going to give us a really nice smooth motion. So let's see if we notice any difference on the hips. So I can see a difference straight away. It's just a lot smoother, a lot more fluid. We don't have that weird jerk in the middle of it. Okay. I'm going to set my loop point again. Let's say 31. Just so I can see the proper loop happening. And let's just go through and work on the next one. So I'll translate Y. So we've got the same kind of thing. We've got this jerky motion here. I've already got the loop on, but again, if you didn't have curves, pre-infinity cycle. Oh, actually I hadn't. Curves, post-infinity cycle. So we've got that there. And let's go through and fix this one. So same kind of thing. Just going to go through. Let's get this end one. This. So we've got a nice smooth motion there. Let's grab this. Move that out. Let's grab this one. And let's move this one out. Got to be careful that I don't take this too far. Otherwise we get real weirdness. We were looking at it with a ball animation a little bit. So just looking for that kind of thing. And let's do this final one. So I don't want that to go beyond the plateau, essentially. So we've got that motion there. So let's look at our translate Z. Now another thing we can notice on this is differences in the animation. So we can see quite high peaks here, see quite low peaks here. So our translate Z on that is going to be our translation forward. So we can see it's moving forward further here. It's not moving as much forward there, basically. So this isn't too bad. Let's just go into our post-infinity and pre-infinity. And that's actually cycling around quite well. So I can leave that as it is. That's fine. Let's go into our rotations. So again, curves, pre-infinity cycle, curves, post-infinity cycle. So again, we've got different rotations on that, but that could be exactly how it's working. This is our rotate X, which is essentially this axis here that we're rotating on. So this is our rotation forward. So we're rotating further forward on that down. Okay, coming back a little bit. We're rotating further forward on our down. As long as these two match up, it should be fine. So we can see we've got an issue on this one. You start noticing the issues straight away. Some are just really obvious. So these are really, really obvious what's happening. Let's get that. Let's pull that in. Again, just watching my plateau. Bring that in like that. And that should be okay. And then same with my rotate Z. Or rotate Z rather. Grab this. And bring this round. And let's grab this one and bring this round as well. So that should be the hips done. Looking at this now, we're getting a little bit of popping in the knees. But what I'm going to do is I'll smooth the legs out first before I start looking at that. So let's go into the feet. Start on the translates again. So actually one thing I can do is start cleaning up. I won't just do it yet. I do this at the end. But any tracks where we've not got any animation, I could get rid of these. I could just go in and just press delete on those. I'll just keep them for now, just in case I need to change any timing on this. Let's go through. So let's do our tangents. Cycle. Cycle. So this is our translate Y, which is our up position. So that's going up, going across, then down, staying on the floor there, so I can see it's not going under the floor, and then going up again. So again, I can see that looping round. Translate Z. You can see that cycling actually really nicely. Rotate X. So again here, I've got a keyframe that's not doing anything. I could just get rid. Everything else is cycling fine. We've not got any rotation on our Y, and our rotation Z. We haven't got anything in there as well. I do need to look at the foot roll. So let's put our curves in here. Got our curves in here. It's going down, going to a flat tangent here. So let's just make sure this is right. So this is going. I've actually forgot which foot this is on. So it's on the left foot. So it's flattening out to 0. It's going to minus value just before minus, something like minus 28. It's flattening out again in this position, and then only at that point does it start going back in. So that's absolutely fine. That's what we want. Oh, started to have a weird bit of, oh no, that's okay. It's because I'm going beyond the looping for this. You notice there that the others carry on looping, but where I've got something that I haven't put any loops on or a cycle on there, it just stops dead. That's fine. I'm only seeing on this particular part of the timeline here. So let me just look at this. Just particularly looking at the up there. Sort of snaps down on this. It's just the hip position on that. So I may have a look at that once I've done the other leg. I'm just getting a little bit of a snapping on the knees there. Let's go to the other leg then. So exactly the same procedure. Translate. So I'm just going to show you something quickly with this pre-infinity and post-infinity, just to make our life a bit quicker. What we can do is go to Windows. We can go to our settings and preferences and our hotkey editor. Let this open up. Now I've got one that I might have already done this on. Basically what you do is you can go in here and say duplicate, which will duplicate all the basic ones, so we don't overwrite the Maya defaults, and I can just give that a new name. So I've called mine Joff keys. So I've got the My Defaults and the Joff keys on there as well, in case anything messes up. Then what I can do is go down, I can choose categories, or I can go down here and enter an application command. So let's say we do, so it was curves pre-infinity and post-infinity. So we have our pre-infinity cycle there. And actually I haven't got a shortcut for that. So what I'm going to do, this is showing me all the shortcuts I've got spare. So I can see a sign key on a sign keys here, this particular thing. For this, I generally use my square brackets. So if I just click on my square bracket here, my post infinity, and I can just save that. Pre-infinity, sorry. Then if I just click post infinity, there's my post infinity cycle. Let's put a hotkey, and again, let's do my close square brackets there. And let's save and close. You can do that with anything, so I've got quite a few different shortcuts on my keyboard for various tools that I use a lot, but this is quite a nice one. So now what I can do is just go open square brackets, close square brackets. I don't have to keep going up here all the time to get those working. So much quicker. So I'm going to get rid of this key here. Let's go through. So again, open square brackets, close square brackets. This is fine. I mean, I could even get rid of this if it doesn't change the curve too much. It's not really affecting it. We could get rid. I'll keep them for now. So open close bracket square. Open square brackets, close square brackets. Get rid of this one. Nothing on there. And we've got nothing on there as well. Let's just have a look at our foot roll. So again, that's fine. Just make sure the looping's okay. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this knees breaking here. So it's happening around like 14. Let me just look at my translate Z on there. Actually, I think I can see what's happening on this. We are going to a bit of a plateau on that, quite a flat plateau. So it's really slowing down at that point, which means that the hips aren't down quick enough for this not to flatten out. So let's try this. I'm going to grab these two keys here. I'm just over my frame 13, 14 where I've got the issue. If I start dragging these down, so I'm going to click over them, just grab them both, click over one of them and press shift down as I move down. So this is moving both keyframes down at once. I don't want too much of a bend in this. And obviously you can see that causes a problem anyway. So I just want to bring it down enough. So we've got a slight bit of a bend in the knee there. So it's not popping as much. There we go. A little better. We could also change these frames as well. I can start bringing these down a little bit. So actually, again, if I grab both of these two, shift drag these down, grab this one and this one, and drag these down a little bit. It's not going to stay in the air as long, so our transition is going to be a bit quicker coming back down. So as I leg straightening out, it's already coming back down onto the ground. So 2 ways that you can fix that. Okay, so we can do that a little more. Let's get this one and this one. Drag those down. I am noticing, oops, a little error here. So I'm going to grab this value here, which is on minus 3.96096. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to paste this value in. And that's just going to fix the problem with the looping. Just a really quick fix there. So as it's coming down now, the legs are only straight for a second. So it's just straight on that one as it goes in. So the knees shouldn't be popping as much. There you go. It's a little better. It's just a little smoother. And we could keep playing around with that, so I could still bring these down a little more. So it's not quite going as high. Okay. Again, with these kind of things, if I feel that they're not doing anything, I could always delete these keyframes. Obviously, they are doing something. Oh, because it's my first key. But I could get rid of maybe like these and have something like that. That can always create a bit of smoothness to it. So actually, that works quite nicely. by having loads and loads of keyframes, you can actually start creating more jitter in your animations, which we've got to be careful of. So that was quite nice. Okay, so that's that issue fixed. So then we just carry on going through the body. So I'm going to now go up through the spine. I haven't got anything on my hip control here. I carry on going through the spine. So I've got nothing on that. I've got some stuff on this. So no translates, should only be rotation. Close bracket, square close. There we go. So this one. So I've got my rotation here. I'm just going to do these quickly. Okay. Again, I could always get rid of these. They're not really adding anything to it. Same with these. Let's just have a look at this one. Generally, unless it's something like a foot where you definitely know where you want it to be planted, you don't have straight lines like this. So let's just see what's happening here. This is our rotation, our X rotation on this. So our X rotation is this one here again. So it's basically moving this way, back and forward. So what this is doing is essentially stopping at that point before it then goes forward. So what I could do with this is I could just take this key here and I could move it down a little bit, which is going to give us just a little bit of almost like an anticipation on there. I'm going to grab this key and then just move this down a little bit so we've got more of a curve. So what this is doing is it's going backwards before it starts going forward. It just means there's no dead space. Again, it's quite subtle, but we just don't want to see a flat line unless you definitely know that something's stopped moving. Just look at the little cycle point there. That's not quite right. So let's just drag. Don't want it to be a flat plateau. I'm going to grab these two actually. I'm just going to move these up a little bit. And let's just drag that one as well. That's a little bit better. The other thing I can do if I can't get the curve right, because I'm going to be on that plateau, is I could go into my curves and do a weighted tangent. And this is going to weight it to one side, which just means I can drag these handle points out and have a bit more control over them individually as well. So maybe something like that. Okay. We've done that one, we've done that one, they're all fine. So again, moving up. Let's just cycle this one. Again, I've got this same thing. I've got this bit of dead space here. So let's just pull this down a little bit. Let's rotate these down. Okay. Let's get rid of these two. Let's get rid of these two. You should start seeing it become a lot more fluid. Look at my ribs, nothing on there. Look at the head. So I should only have one rotation on this, which is here. Now again, if I want to even things out, I can see that on the first hit, my head goes down further than the second hit. So we can always grab these and just approximate them more, or we can copy and paste our values up here as well. You don't always want complete twinning on it. It looks a bit unnatural. But I do have this thing again where I've got this flat line. So let me just put my loop point on. I'm going to grab this one, and this one. And I'm going to pull these down a little bit. Let's just sort out the looping. This is this thing where it's not weighting it to that, so let me try putting that on a weighted tangent. Let's try this. Oops. I think I'm actually going to have to move these keys. So let's grab these and let's just shift these up a little bit to get over this issue. Doesn't like that at all. Oh, on this one it's just my cycle. Sorry. Let me just get rid of this for a second. So my cycle point here. This is on 0. This isn't on 0. So I just need to make sure that's looping correctly. There we go. And I can just pull that out. Let me put this back to a non-weighted tangent. There we go. And let's just pull this down as well. Something like that. So just getting rid of that flat space again. Not much more to do. Obviously, yours may look completely different to mine, by the way. You're just going to go through and work through each piece. So again, I can see that I may not need that. Actually, I could do, if it's changing the shape a lot, then I generally keep it. So it may just be holding that a little bit longer before it goes back. So do be careful with taking all of them out. So I'll leave that there. Let's work down the arm. Bit of an odd one here. So this I definitely want to get cycling round better. Something like that. That one's okay. There's a little bit at the top. Let's just have a look how it works. I'll make a decision when we do the wrist. So let's just do the wrist on that. Oops, grab the wrist. Let's have a look at this. Okay. It's a little bit snappy. I don't know if it's maybe because I'm just taking it a bit far. Maybe. Let's have a look. I think I'm just whipping it up too far. It's a bit extreme. That's a bit better. So don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to change your values if they're too strong or not strong enough. You can always push them further. So let's just finally do this arm. So okay. That's okay. Let's fix this. this one, I've got this flat line again, so I'm just going to have that a bit of overshoot. It's going back. Again, I think this is just a bit too much. Let's pull this down. Now, I've got to be careful here because this is the peak of my tangent. I always want that to be that flat plateau, remember. So, that's okay, that's okay. This one. Let's have a look. Again, I'm going to do the wrist and then I'll come back and decide on that. So, let me make sure I get the wrist. So, let's just fix this. Let's just take that to have it pushing up a little bit. Fix this one. Push this up a little bit. This one. Let's try pushing that up. I probably want to push that down. So I've got this weird rotation there, which looks like it's the X rotation on this, on the arm. So let's look at my lower arm again. So actually it's my Y rotation on this. You can see that in the channel box if I look in here. Yeah, my Y rotation is what's causing the issue there. So let's pull that back. So let's see what this is doing. So that's fine. Just reach round to here. And then there's quite a big drop on this. So let's pull this up initially. But what I'm also going to have to do is pull this one up as well. Which means that I need to copy this value and paste it here to get the right one there. Copy that one. There we go. I think at this point I already want it slightly bent. So I think that's what's causing the issue. It's too big a change. So just by dragging this down I can see I've got the bend already in there. That's better. There we go. So it was too abrupt to change basically. Okay. So let's just see what we've got. And let's do a play blast on this. So I'm going to just switch off my NURBS curves for a second. In fact, if I click off none and then click NURBS curves and my polygons, but then let's get rid of the NURBS curves. Let's just do a quick play blast on this. Play blast as walk 6. I didn't take my end frame off. Oh, actually I did. So that should be a lot smoother. Okay, compared to, let's just go and see where this is play blasting to on mine. Browse. So actually this is defaulted to the main area, the main Maya area, which isn't the best thing. But let me just load this up. Bear with me a second. If I can find it. Maya. Projects default. Movies. There we go. So these are my two. Let's just cycle this round. So it's all a little mechanical compared to this one. That's a lot more fluid. So I'll leave the spline in there. It's just a bit of a tedious process, but really, really useful to do. So do make sure that you go through and spline your work to get the best out of your animation. Again, what I would do at this point is go through and save this. So I'm going to save this now as Scene 06. Again, this is just keeping in line with my player blasts. And there we go.